Welcome to Ayurveda and Spirituality with your host, Alakananda Ma, a renowned Ayurvedic expert and a graduate of a top London medical school. She is the principal of Alundi Ayurveda Gurukula, a unique apprenticeship-style school in Boulder, Colorado. She is a spiritual mother, teacher, flower essence maker, and storyteller. Join us as we uncover the timeless principles of Ayurveda, discover practical tips for enhancing vitality, and explore the deeper dimensions of spirituality that intertwine with the ancient science of life.
Om, 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 om. All you need is om. All you need is om. All you need is om. Om. Om is all you need. This is uh, about om. So welcome to satsang. Satsang is a meeting of hearts, a gathering of friends to inquire into the truth, the short and sweet and extremely important Upanishad, Mandukya Upanishad, at the feet of Master Mandukya. Om! Gods, may we hear good fortune with our ears. You worthy of sacrifice, may we see good fortune with our eyes. Having praised you with bodies strong of limb, may we attain lifelong what is ordained by the gods. May Indra of great swiftness, may Pusham the all-knowing, may Tarksha Arishthanimi, may Brihaspati ordain well-being for us. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. All you need is Om, the syllable, the akshara. Om is everything. To go a little further, because that's sort of all you need to say, what is called the past, the present, and the future is all just Om. Whatever else is there beyond the three times, that too is all just Om. The past, the present, and the future are Om. What is beyond the three times, the past, the present, and the future, that's just Om as well. All this is Brahman. The self is Brahman. And the self has 4 feet. So it's going to take it a little further than than it went in the Prashna Upanishad, where we just went into the 3 Z's of the Om. This is going to go into the 4 Z's as well. Reb Solomon was all about the 3 Z's and the 4 Z's, because when you put your tefillin on your forehead, it has the Hebrew letter shin on it. But on one side, on the right side, right, it's a shin with, no, on the, let me say the left and the right, correct, you can correct me if I'm wrong. On the left side, it has the shin with four slashes instead of 3, and on the right side it has the normal shin that we normally write with 3. So that's, Reb Zalman will always say it's because your brain can think in 3s or in 4s, and he says the 3s are more right-brained and the 4s are more left-brained. The 4s really kind of like lay it out clearly. Sorry. because if you think about the tefillin and the shin on the tefillin, on one side it has three, the three, but the other that's the shin that we normally write when we do our alphabet. But the other side it has four tails on the top, right? Yes, Reb Salman went into this a lot. So there's a way of thinking in threesies, and in the Prashna Upanishad, we did Om in threesies, A, O, and Ma. But here we're doing it in foursies. So we're going to lay it out a little more. Whatever there is beyond the three times, that too is all just Om. All this is Brahman. The self is Brahman, and the self has 4 feet. The first foot is Vaishvanara, that is the waking state. Vaishvanara is also the digestive fire. Uh, uh, as like it says in Bhagavad Gita, Aham Vaishvanaro Bhutva. I am the fire that digests all the elements of the food. Vaishvana is the same as the Agni in the Jataragni in the stomach. This is the Vaishvanara. The first foot is Vaishvanara. It is the waking state. Consciousness is turned outwards. It has 7 limbs and 19 mouths, and it eats the coarse food. To look in the notes for the 7 limbs and the 19 mouths. Mandukya Upanishad. The 7 limbs are the head, the eyes, the mouth, the ears, the lungs, the stomach, and the feet. And the 19 mouths are the 5 sense organs, the jnanendriyani, the 5 organs of action, the karmendriyani, the 5 pranas, manas, buddhi, chitta, thought, and ahamkar. And it eats coarse food, means that as we know, the Vaishvanara, or the Jataragni, is eating actual physical food. When we're asleep, sorry, the second foot is Tejasa. So that Tejasa, Tejas. So now it's become more subtle. As we know, we have a Jataragni, which is the more gross form of fire that actually digests actual food. Now we have Tejas. The second foot is Tejasa, the dream state. Now our consciousness is turned inwards. We still have 7 limbs and 19 mouths, because the body, as one experiences it in dream, seems to have the same organs and senses as the physical one, although the objects with which it comes into contact are subtle. But I remember one time I had a dream where I went into the god realm. I was hanging out with the gods, and we had chocolate pudding. And I've never managed to make a chocolate pudding that good. It was amazing chocolate pudding. That's just like an example. It was a non-physical chocolate pudding, for sure. There's no recipe for it. No, not even the Black Forest Gateau comes anywhere near to it. So it's eating this special food, this subtle food. When we're fast asleep, desiring no desire, we're dreaming no dream, we're in deep dreamless sleep. That is deep sleep. This third foot is prajna, a word we're very familiar with, prajna, wisdom, with deep sleep as its state. Here we are one, a sheer mass of consciousness, made of bliss, eating bliss. The mouth is the mind. A sheer we are prajna, and we are a sheer mass of prajnana. They're closely related words. It doesn't come across in the English translation. So we have the waking state, then we have the dream state, and then we have the deep sleep state. It is the Lord of all, the knower of all. It is the inner controller, Antyaramim, this consciousness. It is the yoni of all. It is the one that everything is born out of. It is the arising and passing away of beings. Now, verse 7, not with consciousness turned inward, not with consciousness turned outward, not with consciousness turned both inwards and outwards, not a mass of consciousness, neither conscious nor unconscious is this fourth state, the unseen, adrishtam, or it's either the unseen, adrishtam, or adrisham, that which is not visible, that which cannot be seen. There's two different readings of it. But this is this fourth state, this turiya. Not with consciousness turned inward, not with consciousness turned outward, not with consciousness turned both ways, not a mass of consciousness, neither conscious nor unconscious. The fourth is invisible, inviolable, and that's avyavaharya, something that we cannot deal with in any way, ungraspable, signless, unthinkable, unnameable. Its essence resting in the one self, the stilling of proliferation. Proliferation is prapancha, which is the tendency of the mind to depart from its still center and become caught up in outer things. When prapancha is stilled, the mind returns to its original unity. So, in unseen or invisible, inviolable, can't know, something we can't reckon with, we can't deal with, something we can't grasp or seize, signless, unthinkable, unnameable, its essence resting in the one self, the stilling of proliferation, peaceful, Shiva, meaning the auspicious. The god Shiva was called Rudra because he was very scary, wandering around in cremation grounds without even using a comb, and howling. That's the meaning of Rudra. Howler. Howling like a wolf in the cremation grounds. Very, very scary. People were scared of him. They didn't really like him, so they decided to call him Shiva. To sort of like We're going to make you be nice by calling you auspicious because you actually contain everything that's inauspicious, like uncombed hair and cremation grounds and snakes and howling. So that's how he got the name Shiva. But Shiva is a bigger meaning than God Shiva. Shiva is the auspicious. And Advaita. So Shantam Shivam Advaitam. That's a very famous phrase. That is the self. That's how we are to understand the self. Not with consciousness turned inward, like we have in the sleep state. Not with consciousness turned outward, like we have in the waking state. Not with consciousness turned both ways. Not a mass of consciousness, neither conscious nor unconscious. People consider this turiya, this fourth state, to be adrashtam, unseen, inviolable, we can't deal with it, unseizable, signless, unthinkable, unnameable. Its essence resting in the one self, the stilling of proliferation, the prapancha, the stilling of prapancha. Shantam, Shivam, Advaitam, peaceful, auspicious, non-dual. This is the self. So it should be understood. So it's going to go on to explain what all this has to do with Om. In terms of syllables, the self is Om. Among all syllables, the self is Om. Among all the elements, among all the matras, among all the measures, the feet are the elements and the elements of the feet. So we have these 4 feet, the A, the O, the M, and the Om. So when we write the Om, and you see that shape that we think of as Om, that's the Akar. Then it's got a little curlicue on it. That's the Ukar. And then it's got a little dot. That's the Makar. A, U, M. And the whole thing, number 4, is the Om. Vaishvanara, the waking state, is Ah. It is the first element. From up to attain. It is, or from it being the first of all. So we Adi Matra. Ah is the original. For the one who knows and attains all desires becomes the first. So it's the first sound that comes out. It's actually the ah is a guttural sound. The Sanskrit ah is a guttural sound. Well, when you're studying operatic singing, you have to learn to do an Italian ah, which is because that guttural ah doesn't come out very well for singing your arias. You have to do a non-guttural ah, a bright ah, which isn't the first sound, but this ah in the om, this ah comes from deep inside. It starts in your belly, it moves up, it comes from the very back of the throat. Ah, it's the first sound we can make. So it is the original sound. It is the very beginning. And if we can understand just that ah card, we attain all desires and become the first. From the A comes the U. We're coming more forward now. Tejasa, and the dream state, is the O, the second element from Utkarsha, rise up. Dr. Lad used to have a parrot. When I was hanging out with him, he had a parrot who every morning would wake his wife Usha up by going, Usha! Usha! Oot! 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 Wake up. Oot! Oot! Oot is to rise up. So Tejasa, whose state is dream, is the O, the second element from Utkarsha, rising up, or also another word we're familiar with in Ayurveda, Ubhaya, both. We often look at causes that are Ubhaya, as they cause, work both through dosha and through directly causing disease. That becomes Ubhaya. That could be another O. So Tejasa is U, rising up, U, both. The one who knows the Ukar raises up a lineage of knowledge and becomes equal. There comes to be no one in his family who does not know Brahman. So then we come on to Prajna, whose state is deep sleep. Sushupti. That is the Ma, the third element. So matra, measure. From that Ma, that measure, comes that Maka. Or from api, to merge into, to dissolve. For the one who knows this creates all this and becomes its dissolution. So the deep sleep state is the makar. So we have these three. The waking state, jagrat, dream state, svapna, deep sleep state, sushupti. We have these three states that we alternate between these states throughout any normal day. We should experience all of these states in any course of any normal 24 hours. We spend some time, a lot of time in Jagrat, getting and spending, eating stuff, cooking stuff and eating stuff and making stuff and getting stuff. Then we go to bed and we spend part of that time in Svapna, playing around in our subtle body, eating divine chocolate pudding or whatever we're doing, using our subtle senses, having our subtle enjoyments or our subtle horribles. And then we also go into our deep sleep state, which is, as we were hearing about in Imperishable Upanishad, it's kind of the closest thing we have to enlightened. There's just one problem with it. We're not conscious. That's the only problem. Like Sadananda will say about Dora, like she's like the cat can fully be in no mind, but the difference between a Zen master and a cat is that the Zen master is conscious of no mind and the cat isn't. There's just this little thing that's missing, which is when you're fast asleep, you don't know that you're fast asleep. You just wake up like, oh, it's such a good sleep. Oh, so great. I feel so good. But you weren't conscious during it. This also corresponds to physical body or gross body, subtle body and causal body. Sthula Sharira, gross body. Sukshma Sharira, subtle body. Sankocha Sharira, causal body. This also corresponds, like we were talking about when we were discussing Prashna Upanishad. Om Bhu, Bhuvaha, Swaha. Bhu, the earth. Physical body, waking state, Jagrat, Akar. Subtle body, Bhuva. That was the one that was a little hard for some of us to understand. But of course, it's the middle air. It's that subtle state. And then Swaha, beyond the heavens. Remember, we've got the three-tiered, three-plate universe happening here. We really had that three-plate universe until those shots came back from space. And we saw that we lived on around Earth, and our consciousness kind of changed. But still, a lot of ways, it's easy to think about the three plates universe because we experience it. It's our everyday experience. That's the three Z's, but now we have turiya, the fourth. The fourth doesn't have an element. It is inviolable. It is the stilling of all proliferation. It is gracious. It is Shivam. It is Advaitam. It is without duality. So Om is the self. The one who knows this by the self enters the self. The one who knows this. So short and sweet Upanishad, but it really contains everything. Om, gods, may we hear good fortune with our ears. You worthy of sacrifice, may we see good fortune with our eyes. Having praised you with bodies strong of limb, may we attain lifelong what is ordained by the gods. May Indra of great swiftness, may Pusham the all-knowing, may Traksha Arishtamani, may Brihaspati ordain well-being for us. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Why do we do Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti? Peace to the earth, peace to the air, peace to the sky, peace to the physical body, peace to the subtle body, peace to the causal body, peace in the waking state, peace in the dream state, peace in the deep sleep state. Om, which brings us also to the turiya. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. It's covering again all of those states. That's why we have to say the Shanti 3 times, not just 1 time, because everything exists in these 3 states. Like all these beings, like angels and so on, that exist in the subtle state and causal state, but not really in the physical. I mean, there's always nice movies where angels somehow acquire physical bodies when they fall down to earth and have all kinds of adventures, but they don't really eat or have physical bodies, right? They're subtle and causal only. There's beings in all these different realms. It's all going on, but it's all embraced by turiya. Not with consciousness turned inward, not with consciousness turned outward, not with consciousness turned both ways, not a mass of consciousness, neither conscious nor unconscious. The turiya is adrishtam. It's invisible, inviolable. We can't have any dealings with it. unseizable, signless, unthinkable, unnameable, its essence resting in the one self, the stilling of proliferation, Shantam, Shivam, Advaitam. That is Atman. That is the self. So it should be understood. The A, the O, the Ma make up the Om, which is turiya, the inviolable, the stilling of proliferation, the gracious, without duality. So Om is the self. The one who knows this by the self enters the self, the one who knows this. That is the whole of the Upanishad. Short and sweet and extremely important Upanishad. Are there any questions or thoughts? The one who knows this by Atman, by the self, enters Atman. The one who knows this. So we might think, when we look at that verse, we might be thinking about Jivatman and Paramatman. Individual self, supreme self. When our Jivatman, when our individual self comes into this fourth state, grasps the wholeness of the Om, we enter Paramatman. We enter the supreme self, the self of all, the Shantam, Shivam, Advaita. And in other Upanishads, it states, truly this Atman is Brahman. The self, the spark that animates, that dwells in everything, is Brahman, is the ground of all being. In this Upanishad, it focuses quite a bit on Atman, but at the beginning, in verse 2, it says, all this is Brahman. The self is Brahman. Atman is Brahman. So this Om, this is all this. The past, the present, and the future is all just Om, and all that is beyond the three times is all Om. All this is Brahman. The self is Brahman, and it has these 4 feet. The A, the O, the Ma, and the Om, the full package.
I think where humans get confused is when they think it's human. They mention like the same.
They mention.
I feel like the like how I see it is very confused. Like very easily can you, as a human, like be sucked into the human dimension, like game, which is called life.
So Sarah's saying that when how we get confused is we get. So what are we getting sucked into?
How I see it is, I don't know, like some people call it Brahman or God or whatever. Every person can call it something else, but I think that God is trying to like learn himself, and so he creates. That's like the spark in us. He creates humans with soul that can basically
go through things in life in order to become closer to themselves, to that Atman. But a lot of times when we're put in this world, we get a little bit too much sucked into this physical world and we forget like the real reason we're here, which is to come closer to Atman.
So I'm just repeating it for the benefit of the people that are going to be listening in, because they probably haven't heard what you're saying. We get caught up in all the proliferations of our human life, and we forget our real purpose. And as from what you were saying, as Meher Baba explains our real purpose, the beyond God is the beyond God. But there's an aspect of self-knowing that the beyond God can't have as the beyond God. So the beyond God has this whim, and from this whim, universes come forth. And beings, life forms evolve through all the different life forms until coming to the human form, which is in many traditions is seen as the highest. I think that some whales and some elephants might beg to differ with us about some of our ideas, but for us as humans, and only talking human speech, we have chosen to think that we are the crown of creation, that angels are amazed at the human soul, as it says in the Holy Quran. So, as humans, uh, the Meher Baba says there's two journeys. There's evolution and then there's involution. So the evolution journey is, from a rock to a lichen to all the way through all the different life forms to a human being. In that journey of evolution, we get more and more fully identified with our form, our physical form. A rock is only barely identified with being a rock, mostly just hanging around in pure consciousness. As human beings, we've gone through that whole journey of evolution. We're fully identified. Then, for lifetimes upon lifetimes, we have to go through the journey of involution, in which we slowly have to cast off our involvement and return our consciousness to what Meher Baba calls the God man, or the God woman, which is what the beyond God wants in the first place, which is God godding, God having fun godding in us, knowing what it is to God in a way that beyond God doesn't know. And that totally fits in with Kabbalah as well. It totally fits in with everything.
Every religion takes it in a different language, explains it in a different language, but it's all really saying the same thing.
Every religion is saying the same thing in different languages. Yes. And after Sadananda and I read Meher Baba's God Speaks Out Loud together, I remember it was twice or three times, but it was a big, thick book, and we went through it. We read it out loud together several times. And it makes a deep impression on you when you read a book out loud together. And it kind of shapes your thinking. And maybe I didn't convey it that correctly, but as well as I have internalized that thinking I have conveyed, which is the same as what you were saying. We have, as humans, we are fully identified with the material world and our human form. And then lifetimes upon lifetimes, we have to loosen those bonds until we attain that state of God consciously being God within a human being. All right.
Thank you for tuning in to Ayurveda and Spirituality with Alakananda Ma. We hope today's exploration has ignited a spark of curiosity and insight within you. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to leave us a 5-star review and share it with a friend. For more enlightening discussions and practical wisdom on Ayurveda and spirituality, subscribe and join our Facebook group, Alundi Ayurveda. To allow us to continue sharing valuable content, consider donating to Alundi Ashram. The links will be in the show notes. Until next time, may you walk the path of Ayurveda with grace and embrace the light of spiritual wisdom in your journey.
Trayambakam yajamahe sukantim pushtivadanam urvarukamiva pandanam mrityormukshi